There's plenty of unique things about me, but that's makes me who I am. What you see is what you get. I think the players all saw it. Like a couple of them were going over like KJ's house and like, man, that dude is. Yeah, he's real, and I like that word because that means there's not a lot of fakeness, right? I'm genuine. I'm going to tell you what I think, and if I'm wearing socks from 20 years ago from Walmart, like so be it. With my new suit, it's part of who I am, and I think it's going to resonate because people are going to see the real me every single day, and I think the players are going to love it. I think people are going to understand, man, cool, he's one of us.
I always felt like with the transfer portal and NIL and stuff, it's beneficial for Arkansas if things can be embraced from a financial side of things, because the state in the area doesn't produce just a whole lot, produce some good players, but per capita it doesn't. But I'm curious, and you could have a lot of turnover this year, obviously, with players hitting the transfer portal, and you experienced a lot of that last year at Memphis. But moving forward, what do you think is a good balance for Arkansas in terms of recruiting and adding players from the transfer portal each year?
Yeah, Trey, it's interesting. I think every year is going to have its differences. This would be probably the least amount of high school guys we ever signed. I didn't want to sign guys that I didn't actually have an understanding of who they were, right? Obviously, there was a handful of guys who were committed already, and we honor those. But then most of them I at least had an opportunity to get to know. And anybody I'm going to bring in our locker room, right, I'm being a part of our family, right? They're going to come over to the house. They're going to be joining the vets. I think that's as important. So we're going to do a great job recruiting. If I were to throw out a random number, anywhere from 20 to 30 high school kids every single year, and being able to develop them. And then, what is it? Like if we only need to fill 10 spots in the portal, and some of those may be a third string guy that I got to bring in the portal, right? Everybody always assumes you bring a guy in the portal, is he a starter? Well, if a redshirt freshman goes in the portal and he's not ready to play, but maybe in a year from now he can fit your scheme, then so be it. But it's finding that right balance. But we are always going to rely heavy on high school recruiting, and our job as coaches is to develop those guys.
A lot of times when there's a new coach, there's some quarterback turnover. KJ obviously said he's coming back. I'm just curious, can you outline maybe like how big of a priority that was for you, and just what is it about him that made you come here and say, I want this guy to stay, instead of maybe going out and bringing your own guy in?
Well, I'd been able to watch, obviously, studied some Arkansas film prior to playing them, and I knew his background. And then really over the last course of a few days, just being able to, more than anything, right? Like I mentioned earlier, the film study speaks for itself. And he's got a unique skill set. He's very talented. Even as of this morning, we were actually watching film together, right? Going through some things and talking about it. Like, hey, I know why this throw went to this way. And I certainly don't specialize myself as a quarterback guru. The last time I was a quarterback coach was 2005. But just talking through things with protections and just getting his, the understanding of the way he processes, right? The care, and you hear other teammates talk about what a leader he is and how much it means. And so that stuff is huge. And the success of a team, ultimately, quarterbacks get too much credit, quarterbacks get too much blame. But I think KJ's got a bright future.
Coach, you were asked about your defense earlier. I'm curious about the offense. Kind of what do you envision X's and O's wise? Kind of what do you?
And it's going to be similar to the same offense I've run the last 10 years. Like I said, again, credit to the players. We had wonderful players, but really the most consistent, successful offense year in and year out. And part of that is turnover margin. Part of that is just having great players making plays. And that, to me, is huge, right? But when it's all said and done, we're not a tempo type team. Okay, we're not an air raid type team. Everybody's got a unique name for something, right? It's pro style. Do you have to huddle? Well, if we're not always going to be looking to the sideline for signals. 90% shotgun. Okay, we're going to not as much pistol as had been done here in the past, which was something I was even studying as of this morning, and just variations, right? But my job is to put the players in the best opportunity to succeed. So if it's out there being more 11 personnel, if it's if all of a sudden we got certain deals, and if we're short yards goal line, are we more of a 13 personnel? Is that 22? But it's my job and our job as coaches to develop the scheme based off of our players. I think you get so many coaches will say, well, he didn't fit my system. No, you're a bad coach. you need to change and adapt to what the players you have. So even as far as skill sets of a quarterback, what the receiver size is, speed on the field, what's your running back situation, your line situation, how much outside zone compared to inside zone. If you got a bunch of 355-pound O linemen, then how much duo are you running? So, look, all that goes hand in hand. That's my job to figure that out. I'm excited to play the first game, but I think I got a little bit of time before I got to determine exactly what plays are going in.
And then going back to the high school recruiting, announced 17 signees yesterday. You've got today and tomorrow in the early period and then the February period. Are you looking at adding any more high school guys, or does it shift to more portal?
Well, I think we got to see I think sometimes there's been some guys that hadn't signed yet. And if they fit with what we want to do, we're going to always do that. I think if we can add anybody that is going to add value to the locker room first and foremost, and then value to us on the field, we're going to explore it. And so to sit here as we continue to look at the roster numbers, but as always with everything, expect the unexpected.
Yeah, Hunter, you mentioned at the start that when you run a tight search, it can create a lot of speculation. There's a notion out there that maybe this was a disorganized search. How would you characterize how it went?
From my perspective, it was very organized. It went from roughly 25 to 30 coaches down to 9, down to 3, down to 2, down to 1. I know because Kyle would come in and say, this name was floated out there yesterday, this name was floated out there. I will tell you that my staff didn't know who I had hired until Saturday night after the game when we got together. And that was the same way the entire search. And so I just feel like out of respect to the coaches, especially running a search during a season where coaches are coaching other teams, and I have the ultimate respect for what those young men in those other locker rooms are going through when their coaches interviewing for jobs. And the calendar we have right now in college football makes it incredibly, incredibly difficult to have the level of respect that I want to respect. And that's why I run a tight search. It's really out of respect for those coaches that I'm talking to because I don't want rumors to be floated out there. I'm not trying to get somebody else a raise. I'm not trying to hurt them and their program. I'm trying to acquire the best coach for the University of Arkansas. And so, again, no one knew on my athletic department staff until Saturday night after the Missouri game who we were hiring.
Speaking of Saturday night, I noticed on the term sheet you both signed it Saturday night. What was the timeline like Saturday when it was offered, agreed upon? How did that go?
Yeah, Ryan and I had been communicating last week. He had a game against Navy, and I wished him good luck. It didn't turn out the way he wanted it to. We communicated some on Friday. He wished me good luck heading into the Saturday game. We visited some during the game on Saturday. I stepped out of my box and at halftime and went and called him. And then we officially got everything wrapped up late Saturday night.